Here, Brent D. Cates says, I'm hearing quite a bit recently on something called the Anglosphere, Churchill and Mark Stein, the Western English-speaking nations and their contribution to civilization. Any thoughts? Yes. Brent, if you're new to the term Anglosphere, I want to say it was coined around 2003 or 4, I think, right around in there. We were 9/11 had happened, and we were getting ready to go into Iraq, and we were starting to find out who was with us and who was against us. And George Bush got a lot of heat for that question, but that was exactly the thing he had to say. And because we realized in the hours after 9/11, all right, who's responsible for this and who's going to pay? And we understood that terrorists operate underneath the level of nations, and so if you're hosting terrorists, if terrorists are running free in your country, then we're going to come to you and we're going to say, are you with us or are you against us? Because we're going to get these people. I don't know how many people know this, and I've heard it anecdotally from several different people. But my understanding is that very shortly after 9/11, within a week or two, one of our representatives arrived with the leaders in Afghanistan before Karzai was even elected or even on the scene. And what I understand was that this guy, who was the top-level guy that Bush dispatched, basically met with some of these Afghan leaders, and he had a cooler, like an Eskimo cooler, filled with dry ice, and he had a briefcase. And he basically, as I heard the story, said to these people, all right, let me show you something. And he opened both up, and he says, in the briefcase here, opens it, he says, is $1 million. And in this container of dry ice, I want the head of Osama bin Laden. So who's going to bring it to me? That stuff almost makes me cry. We're not even talking about the difference between diplomacy and military action here. You want to talk about somebody having the intelligence to understand how things work out in the world outside of the Disneyland force field that our military protects us in. When you do something like that, you are going to people who deal with this kind of currency every day, and you're saying, I speak your language, I'm holding your currency, let's make a deal. And you're not sending John Kerry to go over there and negotiate treaties and talk about the rights of man. You're talking to people who know exactly where these people are, know what they do, know how to reach them, and saying to them, he killed our people, we want his head. Here's $1 million, bring me his head, you get the money. Put it in that container that we brought with us. That's several things. That's raw intelligence on the part of George W. Bush. It's determination, it's skill, and it's a fundamental belief in the worthiness of your civilization. If 3,000 Americans were killed as a result of this action, I want them dead. They're going to pay with their lives. And the sooner the better, and the more publicly the better. And if you don't believe that, then you probably shouldn't be the leader of those people. You really shouldn't be the leader of those people. You hurt anybody. I would have gone after Iran once these IEDs started blowing up in Iraq. Once we had concrete evidence that most of the guys who were killed over in Iraq were victims of IEDs, once we found out that most of these were being manufactured by, designed by, trained by, emplaced by Iranians, I would have simply said what I said in that speech. I would have said, as of midnight tonight, the next time American servicemen are killed, and we can conclusively prove that there were Iranians were involved, not just complicit, just involved in any way, then for every American that dies, Iran's going to lose a facility. They're going to lose an emplacement. If we have 2 Americans killed in an IED bomb, and we can find out that that bomb was a result of Iranian technology or Iranian training, then Iran will lose 2 installations. And we won't tell you what they are, but they will lose 2. They will lose a gunboat, maybe they'll lose a barracks, maybe they'll lose an anti-aircraft site, they'll lose 2. And every time an American soldier dies, they're going to lose another installation. Purely military installation. We're not trying to kill civilians. If we do, we're sorry about that, but they will lose another installation. And we'll continue to erode their installations, and as I said before, we will lay them naked to their enemies for 500 years because we can. And we're not going to take any casualties doing this, by the way. We're going to push a button on a submarine 400 miles away, and the next thing you know, your command and control structure is going to go, or that radar station is going to go, or that missile battery is going to go. It's just going to disappear. And they'll keep disappearing as long as you keep killing American soldiers. And if you launch an attack on American civilians, you're going to lose all your facilities. We'll destroy your military capability. We will lay you naked to your enemies. See if I'm kidding. See if I'm kidding. And you know what happens when you do that? When you take this hateful, warmongering position, people stop effing with you. Because they will. You make that statement, right? If this, then that, they will do it again. They will. And when they do, if you don't do what you said you do, then you're like the parent, right? You're going to have spoiled children. They're going to know. You make it happen. You just push the button. I say, why'd you do that? Because they killed 2 of our guys. You killed 400 people in an attack on their military barracks. Yeah, I feel bad about that. I genuinely do feel bad about that. But we told them that would be the consequences. And if they want another 400 guys killed, then you know, kill another one of our guys. See what happens then. You don't mess with us, okay? We like to trade with people. We're traders. We're partners. We live in a cooperative society based on trust. We're nice people. We're generous people. We helped up people who had sunk our battleships and murdered our prisoners. Who waved the white flag of surrender and used our generosity against us to gun down our Marines in Guadalcanal. And we put 2 big flashing white lights of freedom directly over those people, and we put a stop to it, and now they're our friends because we helped them up. We're nice people. We really are. But if you kill 2 of my soldiers, you're going to lose 2 installations. You kill a bunch of my civilians, you're going to lose all your installations. Any part of this you don't understand, go ahead and try me. That's what it sounds like. And once you do that, people leave you alone. Because you're not only strong, you're fair. And as Brent just put out in the comments section there, it's nice to be able to glance over there. People say, how barbaric of you. On the contrary, that's not barbarism at all. Barbarism is murdering people. Barbarism is blowing them up with bombs for no reason. Barbarism is cutting their heads off. That is the essence of civilization, is to say to them, we're giving you a choice. This is in your control, Iran. We're not coming in here to just bomb you because we can. That would be barbarism. I don't like you. We're going to bomb you. We're going to steal your oil. No, that's barbarism. Civilization is saying our people are worth more to me than your entire country is. That's my job. If I'm president of the United States, my job is to protect America and American citizens. Primarily, it's my number one job. It's what I swore an oath to do. You kill some of our soldiers, we're going to kill a lot of your people. We're going to take you off the map. So don't kill them. It's up to you. We're not coming after your people. You're the ones bombing our guys. You're the ones who killed 4,000 of our soldiers in Iraq. Not that many, but a significant number of them, 2,000, 3,000 of these IED attacks. You don't get away with that with me. You just don't. And when you start playing that kind of hand, the hand of strength that we've been dealt through the result of all of the hard work and all the people that have died for our defense, and all the people who work in defense industries, and these electrical engineers who work in Raytheon and in Valencia or something like that, and they don't get any medals and they don't get any recognition, and nobody salutes them on Veterans Day. And there should be a difference between veterans, because when you sign on the dotted line, you can be ordered to give your life. So I'm not taking anything away from our veterans, but these defense workers who spent their entire lives working on the sensors that can shoot down an incoming ballistic missile in the terminal phase. It can hit the warhead, and they can tell you what part of the warhead they want to hit. I've seen guys who've talked to me about films. They say, can't show you this exactly, but frankly, we see a vehicle on reentry. Tell me what part of the vehicle you want to hit. Those guys are as responsible for the defense of this country as everybody else. These guys, why do we have these guys if we don't ever use them? I'd be using this stuff all the time, because frankly, folks, the thing that I've learned about life is, and this is true as anybody knows it, and the reason that liberals are such pacifists is because they're cowards. They're cowards. Talking about earlier about hate speech and speaking the truth. They're cowards. They're physical cowards. They're afraid of getting into a fight. I was afraid of getting into a fight too. I'm still afraid of getting into a fight. I don't like getting into a fight. But the one thing I learned about in junior high, which is far and away the most violent time of my life, junior high was, I didn't think I was going to get out of junior. If you get picked on and you let them pick on you, there's something wrong with them. There is something wrong with them. But what's wrong with a bully is something that nature put in them for a reason, because bullying is the hatred of the weak. And civilization is about protecting the weak. So let's not have any misunderstanding about which side I'm on here. But I've seen the dynamics of bullying, and when a bully sees somebody cry and cower, the bully wants to hit them more, because he's responding on a genetic level to this. It's not just humans, it's not just mammals, but it's this instinctual destruction of the weak There's a part of our survival DNA that instinctively wants to destroy the weak. I was hearing somebody over Thanksgiving, or I think it was, somebody told me there's some sort of thing about Mustangs. There's like a video documentary about wild Mustangs in North America, and there's this mare gives birth to this foal, and the foal is weak and can't stand up, and the foal's surrounded by a bunch of mares, and the foal's obviously got some kind of problems with his leg. And the mares are standing around it and stuff, and all of a sudden the stallion comes roaring up right in the middle of this thing, and he looks down and smells this foal and looks at him, and then all of a sudden the stallion just stomps the foal to death. That's not an easy thing to watch, because we sympathize, because we're good people, we're generous people, we have feelings of compassion. I would have stopped it if I could. I would have raised the foal on my own. But you see, the problem is that the Mustangs don't know that. They don't know it. All they know is that if that weak foal is not killed, it'll have to eat, which means that all of us in the herd will have to move at the rate of the slowest foal, which is a quarter speed now, and we're all going to die. So that's what nature does. Let's not misunderstand each other here. I'm not saying that we should bow to that instinct, because that's what Hitler said. Hitler said the weak are killing us. If they're weak, they need to be destroyed. I don't want to live in that society. That kind of society is genuinely evil. A society that murders weak people, a society that murders crazy people, a society that murders sick people, that's Mordor. That's Sauron. But when I see people doing the bullying, that's the dynamic. And the reason I bring this up is because the way to stop bullying is to hit them back. Because this is the thing, you see. People think that when you hit a bully back, you have to beat the bully. You think that there's this giant kid who's 3 grades older than you, and he's got 100 pounds on you. You're bullied by him, and he's pushing you around, he's knocking you to the ground, maybe he's punching you or something, and Dad says, hit him back. And you think, I can't beat the guy, Dad. You say, you don't have to beat him. Just hit him back. Because you don't have to beat him up. Because if you hit him back, he will stop bullying you, because he will know that you're not weak. He's trying to kill the weakness. And I think every single progressive out there was bullied and is ashamed of it and is trying to make up for it with these high-level intellectual arguments that just don't work. There are bullies in the world, and there are bullies in nations. Iran's a bully. It's a nation of bullies. They're mean-spirited, horrible, awful, god-awful people. Look at what these people believe, these mullahs. They don't believe in music. They don't believe in hand-holding. They don't believe in romance. They don't believe in kissing. They don't believe in dancing. If you're dancing, your head is cut off. They're horrible, 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 horrible bullies. They need to be punched in the nose, and hard. Then they'll leave you alone, because they're cowards. And if they see cowardice in others, they will continue to poke you with a stick until you give them all your lunch money. And if you don't have enough lunch money today, they'll get your lunch money tomorrow. They'll keep punching you in the nose till you get the lunch money. And all you have to do is have the courage to hit them once, because once you hit them back, they stop. I don't know why the smartest people in the world can't seem to understand this, but they can't. Neville Chamberlain didn't understand it. John Kerry doesn't understand it. Barack Obama doesn't understand it. Noam Chomsky doesn't understand it. It's not that they can't understand it. It's the willful ignorance of their egos that won't allow them to understand it. Because if they come to grips with the fact that the way you stop aggression is by hitting people in the nose, then they have to deal with the fact that they could have stopped aggression in their own lives, but they were too cowardly. They're cowards. They're cowards. They're physical cowards. Look, you know what I was afraid of? Let me tell you what I was afraid of when I was a kid. And what I'm afraid of today. I'm afraid of being a coward. I am afraid of being a coward. It terrifies me that I might be a coward. It terrifies me. And so I reassure myself, because going out in a gun range doesn't mean you're not a coward, and acting tough certainly doesn't mean you're not a coward, and talking about things like bombing Iran doesn't mean you're not a coward. You might be still a coward. You never know. The only thing I have that indicates that maybe I'm not a coward is I've been the first person on the scene of 3 or 4 accidents, and I stop the car and I crawl through the glass and I get in there and try to help people. I've had a couple of engine failures where my life was in immediate peril because I was in an airplane that didn't have an engine on it over pine groves at 9,000 feet. And I didn't freak out. I did the right thing. That tells me that I probably got some physical courage, or at least I've got enough coolness to substitute for actual courage. But I don't think I would run from the sound of gunfire. Never have. I've been walking down the streets once or twice. I heard a woman scream. I run towards the scream. It turns out she was joking. I said, don't joke like that anymore, please. Because if you're joking, giggle. You scream like that, certain kinds of people are going to come running. And certain kinds of people could get hurt for it. Maybe they'll get killed for it. Don't do it. So anyway, I don't even know where that came from. I'm kind of in a mood to finish these things. I know we're running long, but I don't care. It's just disk space. So let's just go on. Oh, so the Anglosphere and civilization. I get off on such tangents. Brent, right around 2003 or 4, we began to realize that that the people that were with us really consisted in force were Great Britain, Australia, Canada, in Afghanistan. I don't know if they were with us in Iraq. I want to think that they weren't. But Australia and Great Britain, and began to realize that the English-speaking countries of the world really are the successful countries, and they're the ones that are prepared to act in their defense. Even Great Britain today is in worse shape than it was 10 years ago, as we all are. But I'll say this, for those of you who may be listening, God bless Australia. Okay? God bless them. That country has fought with us everywhere. They've fought with us everywhere. They fought with us in World War I, fought with us in World War II, were enormously successful in World War II, punched way above their weight. Many Australians today still remember that if it hadn't been for the United States Navy, they probably would be a Japanese colony today, so they're grateful too. But the Australians have been just magnificent. They're magnificent at Gallipoli, the Anzacs, and the Coastal Watcher guys, and the Aussies were with us in Vietnam, and the Aussies were with us in Desert Storm, and the Aussies were with us in Iraq, and they were with us in Afghanistan, and God bless them. God bless them. Anya, Aussies, you're the best friends we have. But Brent, you begin to look around the world and you say, who's succeeding? Who's succeeding in the world? America, Britain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India. What do they have in common? Britain is what they have in common. Britain. God almighty, what a horrible thing to see. Watching Britain is just heartbreaking. And the idea of watching it here on the scale that it's happening in Britain is it's unimaginable. I'm just not going to let that happen today.